Summer routines live or die by how easy they are, and honestly, if something takes too much effort, I'm out. That's why Groons is my go-to. It's my one daily pack of gummies covering my greens, vitamins, and minerals. Plus, it has 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is more than 2 cups of broccoli. No mixing powders, no giant pills, no hassle. I just rip open the pack and I'm done. They taste good and they make it easy to stay on top of my health, even when life gets busy. Save up to 52% with the code PODCAST at Groons.co. That's code PODCAST at GRUNS.co.
From the kids to Aunt Sue. Keep your whole family connected on all their devices with crowd-pleasing gig-speed internet from Xfinity. Now that's simple, easy, awesome. Learn more about gig-speed internet or other popular plans, now with even more speed. Enjoy faster downloads and a better streaming experience today. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for a great offer. Restrictions apply. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed.
Welcome back to TalkNorth.com. Thank you for listening. If you can, please download before you listen. It helps our business. I'd also like to thank our producer, Brandon Morton, and let you know if you'd like to sponsor this program or any of the programs on the network, you can reach me at jsouhan47@gmail.com. We're at Michael Russo's new house, and now guess what? Michael actually gets to spend time in his new house. The Minnesota Wild are giving you that opportunity by missing the playoffs for the first time in the Suter Parise era. What's this like for you? What's it like for them?
Well, I'm sure it sucks for everybody. I'm not used to that. I'm studying up on draft lottery rules today. It's just obviously sucks. So yeah. I mean, but look, this was pretty, to me, inevitable. I mean, they're just not good enough, and we saw it down the stretch. They just can't score, and that's the big question going into Tuesday's availability with Bruce Boudreau and Paul Fenton is who the heck's scoring for this team next year. A lot of pressure now on Paul to get free agents to make the proper moves this summer, because if this is the team that comes back next year, they're not just going to magically start scoring with another summer of maturity for the young guys. I mean, that's just not happening. So, as I've said to you all along, whatever you want to call it, rebuilding, not easy. It could lead to a lot of pain if the next moves aren't the right moves.
This is the Russo-Souhan Show. He's Michael Russo of The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. This is part of the TalkNorth.com podcast network. Check out all of our shows, basketball, football, baseball. Of course, this is the hockey show. Thanks to our sponsors, Twill and Idida Galleria, FixologyRepair.com, Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin, and BiteSquad.com. Promo code is TalkNorth to get your first delivery from Bite Squad free. But even after that, keep using Bite Squad. They have supported the network. Please support them and all of our sponsors. So I do a lot of outstate radio hits, and the question I've gotten from everybody this week is, okay, does this mean, are they going to fire Bruce right away? And I said, coming from you, it sounds like even if they were going to make a change, they're probably not going to do it, in the next 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, if Bruce is not the coach here next year, there's other factors in play, which is what I reported in my story from Dallas, is that Bruce is not going to be fired by Paul Fenton or Craig Leopold unless there just comes to a point where when they're meeting over the next couple of weeks, they just don't want to do it again. And then there are going to be other factors involved, if that makes any sense. But Bruce Boudreau is 100% safe, as we know it. He is going to be with Paul Fenton tomorrow. They, I'm sure, are going to be having all sorts of exit meetings here in the next couple of weeks. But Craig Leopold does not blame Bruce for this, believes he's a great coach and wants him to return as a team. And then there's going to be other issues here. Paul and Bruce are going to have to meet and talk about a plan for the next year. because Bruce is entering the last year of his deal. And then again, I mean, this is just putting 2 and 2 together. I mean, I don't think Bruce is going to want to enter the last year of his contract. I'm sure his agent is going to want an extension. And then the question is whether Craig or Paul scoff at that, or if they actually understand why that would need to be done. This is not the you never want a coach going into the last year of his deal, because when we write about it all the time, anytime there's any sort of stress, anytime they're in a losing streak, with a bunch of days off coming up, you start to, get your radar up. And, again, and you know what, this is, I hate to say it, but with this locker room, they need to know that Bruce is coming back and that there's no excuses, that if all of a sudden they flounder next year, that they know that it's not on the coach. And I just think it's important not to have a lame duck coach. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I haven't talked to Bruce about this. I haven't talked to Paul about this. I haven't talked to Craig about this. But I've got to think that subject is going to come up at some point here in the next little bit.
So the meeting's going to be Boudreaux, Fenton, Suter, obviously.
No, I mean, they're obviously. I think Paul. I think that Paul and Bruce are going to want to sit here and discuss this team. Break down everything. What went wrong this year? Why they couldn't score? Why they couldn't win at home? Why even strength? They were one of the worst teams in the NHL, especially since Paul began all his moves. I was just looking at the even strength numbers here of some of these guys, and they are just so bad. Kevin Fiala can't produce even strength. He has one goal, 1 point. Victor Rask, I think, had 2 points, even strength, 2 goals and an assist, even strength in his entire time here. Down the stretch, Zucker, 1 goal in his last 14 games. Stahl, 3 goals in his last 15 or 16 games. Cunning, Greenway, none of these guys could produce even strength. Why is that? They've got to figure it out. Is it as simple as just not having enough depth, losing Granlund, Coyle, Niederreiter, having Koivu and Dumba being hurt? They've got to dissect what went wrong here and then figure out a way to fix it. And what concerns me is, I think we could all look at the free agents and assume they're going after Anders Lee. But Anders Lee, there's no guarantee, 1, that he would come here, and 2, that he's going to be a free agent. Pavelski, again, I think we could assume the Wild are going to go after him, but I mean, he's going to be 34. These are, and there's not a guarantee he's going to be a free agent or would come here. I mean, there are not a lot of guarantees this summer, so it's just going to be it's a huge offseason.
Let's ask you the question, does Bruce really want this job at this particular time? First, let's thank Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill on Instagram. I'm wearing one of my Peter Millar golf shirts right now.
Jim usually doesn't like to shop for clothes. I don't like it when he shops for clothes either, because he used to buy stuff I'd want to throw out. That's why I'm so glad he's found Twill in the Edina Galleria. He likes shopping there because of the comfortable environment and the friendly staff. He finds clothes that actually fit him properly and are high-quality brands that will look great for years, whether he's golfing or working. Our favorites so far are Peter Millar, Johnny O, and Barber. We spend our money at Twill because we love the clothes and we love the no-pressure shopping. Drop by Twill in the Edina Galleria for the best shopping experience and best clothes you'll find in the Twin Cities.
So does Bruce want to be here under these circumstances? If so, why?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that obviously he's not in a in a great state right now. He's missed the playoffs once since 1997, and that was when he took over a team midseason. He's usually competing for division titles in 100-point years, not this. And now all of a sudden, there's all sorts of, trying to choose my words wisely too, because but there's all sorts of locker room issues. There's all sorts of depth issues. There's all sorts of inexperience issues. And him entering the last year of his deal, I'm sure he's looking at this and saying the same thing. How the heck are they going to compete against Winnipeg and Nashville and Colorado and Dallas in the division next year, and Chicago? The Wild finished last in the Central. So there's all sorts of issues with this team. And I think that there's obviously a concern coming into next year. And then you, again, look at the fall-off of Zucker. You look at the fall-off of Eric Stahl this year. This is... Then you look at the fact that there's all these job openings in coaching. I'm sure in deep down, Bruce probably is like, but and then the other issue is he needs to know that he's the coach. I mean, it was just so clear in the second half of the season that Paul's moves were dictating the lineup. Whether it was knowingly or him going in there and saying it or not doing that, but but the obviousness of it. I mean, when you are on a 3-game winning streak going into the All-Star break and the trade deadline and the bye week, and all of a sudden you acquire Anthony Bitetto off waivers, and either not knowing, which is scary, or knowing that you weren't going to bring up Cunningham and Eriksson-Ek because of it, that's a huge problem. And then when all of a sudden you're essentially having a pretty quality number 6D or 5D and Nick Seeler playing well, and then next thing you know, you're just Anthony Bitetto mysteriously shows up in the lineup over and over and over again, despite being absolutely erratic at least. I mean, just look at the final game, Dallas. Every scoring chance he was in the middle of. It's a problem, and that stuff affects the coach. And I just think it's obvious. Again, Bruce is never going to say something like that, but I think that he needs to know that he dictates the lineup.
You would think that would be a You would think that would be a logical operating system. Let's do some Twitter questions. I have a couple of other questions I might come back to if they're not covered by the Twitter questions, but this is a good day to do this. Also, we are talking with a couple of restaurants about possibly doing live shows in the near future. So keep an eye on our Twitter feeds and other social media outlets for information on that as we get closer to a decision. We do love doing live shows and seeing everybody. From General Source asked about Boudreau. I think you answered that. From Kevin Luckow, given the connections to Minnesota and Paul Fenton, do you envision Phil Housley joining the Wild staff in some capacity in the near future?
I mean, it's interesting. I think Bob Woods is in the final year of his contract, but he's been aligned with Bruce for a long time, and I think there's a relationship already established between Bob Woods and Paul Fenton, and I believe their wives as well. So I think that Bob definitely wants to come back. I think they'd love to have him back. But the question on Phil's interesting. I don't know what Phil's thinking. He's got, I assume, 1 year left on a head coaching salary. So even if he comes back here, is he going to want to jump right back into it and be an assistant? I don't know if Paul Fenton and Phil Housley were tight from their days in Nashville. It'd be a lot of conjecture right now. But Bob Woods is the D coach. So him being in the last year of the deal certainly creates that opening. But again, I think that you'd want your head coach to be part of that decision. And I think that Bob has a lot of respect for Bruce and vice versa. So I'm sure that something will happen either way, and my guess it'd be hard to make Phil work into that, but we'll see. I mean, it's a Hall of Fame defenseman that lives right in the area, so it makes some sense. But a lot of it's whether or not there is a relationship between Fenton and him, and whether or not Phil would actually even want to be an assistant coach in this situation.
From Matty Ice, as of now, who do you think the Wild would sign this summer in free agency?
I mean, if Anders Lee is available, I see them absolutely going after them. They have no shot at Panarin. I'm so tired of the question. Why would Panarin choose here, one? And it's just so clear that him and Bob are very much likely going to Miami, or Fort Lauderdale. Duchesne, I wouldn't touch him. I just wouldn't. He hasn't done anything in Columbus. We saw he didn't do anything in Ottawa, and Colorado's absolutely on a roll since they got rid of such a player. I think it's obvious that he wants to go to Nashville too, is everything that I'm being told. So that doesn't make sense. Brock, I don't see the fit anymore. Nelson, just because. And by the way, with Anders, we don't even know if he's going to be a free agent. I don't know if I said that. But Brock, same thing. I don't see the fit anymore because they're going to have Stahl, Koivu, Sturm, Eriksson-Ek, Rask here. Cunningham can play center. I just don't know where you put him. Although he's had a breakout year for Barry Trotz. But if you're Brock Nelson and you have a chance to return to that, why would you leave? Pavelski, as I've mentioned. There's Jordan Eberle. They need a right shot, right wing. Doesn't really intrigue me. Brett Connolly's had a great year in Washington, right shot, right wing. Giannis Donskoy, right shot, right wing. I'm just thinking of those off the top of my head. But do any of those make this team a contender right away? I mean, no. Who gets them the puck? Yeah. That's the thing that I think
they trade for Mikael Granlund.
Even if Pavelski and Anders Lee, and again, that was my only issue with the Mikael Granlund trade. I get why you would want to get rid of him. It wasn't having a good year. Not a $7 or $8 million player, but who's getting guys the puck now? And what concerns me is, look, I think we've talked all along that I just think that there was a point here where Nino, Coyle, even Granny, even Zucker at times, where Paul would have to eat into that, but the return's got to be right. And I just think it was so clear, just by the way that Paul talked about Fiala on the day that he was introduced here, game breaker, electric stick, that he had in his head that this guy was something that he is absolutely not. And now you take an asset in Granlund that was very tradable for very good players, and now all of a sudden you don't have that asset to move anymore. And so now I look at this summer in a year where they've got to go after free agents and have this money to spend, but there's not a lot of intriguing free agents out there. And I say, well, this was the summer to actually go and make a splash and trade-wise, and now what do you have to trade? You don't have a lot. And now all of a sudden you have this team where everybody's upset. They don't see a future. And now you got to go to your best defenseman maybe in Jared Spurgeon and say, hey, sign up with us for 7 or 8 more years. Is Jared going to want to do that?
He's got 1 more year left?
1 year left.
Yep.
And so they are at a crossroads here, and these next decisions better be right.
Fixologyrepair.com. Fixology Repair, 3rd floor of the Mall of America by Nordstrom's, downtown in the Skyway by the old Wells Fargo building that's getting sold. They fix watches, they fix tablets and other devices. They sell watches. If they sold candles, Michael would spend all of his time there.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at fixologymn on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
My mother's coming at the end of the May, and she's like, I'm bringing my iPad and a watch. You have to tell John Hedges. And I'm like, all right, I'll tell John Hedges.
I miss your mom.
She's coming.
Yep.
Yep.
And we'll have to get together.
Yep.
Right here. Now that you have a
live
house.
show by then.
Now that you have a house, we'll do it here
Yep.
and at a live show. I do think, we have a couple restaurants who are interested. Hopefully we'll finalize some things here in the next couple of weeks. From Steve Hoaglund, is Kaprizov's team, if Kaprizov's team managed to win it all in the KHL, any chance they'd let him out a year early so he could play in the NHL?
That'd be the only possibility, the only way, because they control this stuff, and Dan Milstein's in a tough spot too, because I don't think he wants to be viewed, if he wants to ever get Russian clients again, he's going to be viewed as somebody that's going to try to breach a contract over there. So I think the only way, in the Wild are praying that Kaprizov wins it all, so then they can try. That is the only way.
From Jared Mealy, I read in one of your stories that Brad Bombardier will be representing the Wild at the draft lottery. Why isn't Fenton representing the team? Is it because he has trouble talking to the media?
I don't know. I mean, it's a good question why Paul isn't here. Tomorrow they do have their, I could tell you exit meetings are all week. Mm-hmm. So that's probably part of it. It was originally supposed to be just tomorrow, and now I think it's going to go all week. But I don't know if anything's changed in that thing. I do think that Paul should be there just in case they win it. But, man, it would be fun if Brad's there and somehow the Wild get lucky and just to see Brad be interviewed and, that guy. Oh, I have a great Brad Bombardier story.
Let's hear it.
So let me find the text message. So the other night, I'm going to Dallas. The other morning, I'm going to Dallas, and I just happened to see Bombardier on the other side of security in front of me, and he was going on a scouting trip, I guess. And I see him, and I am 10 people into being in front of TSA, and he's on the other end going through security, and I, on top of my lungs, go, "Bomber!" And then he doesn't hear me, and I go,
"You're
"Bomber!"
yelling "Bomber" in an airport?
And then finally he turns around, and then it dawns on me as everybody's looking at me. I'm like, so I sent him a text. I'm like, just dawned on me, screaming "Bomber" in front of TSA wasn't my brightest move ever. And he goes, exactly. You're not the first one to almost get me shot.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think you would have been the person getting shot, though.
Yeah. I don't know. Poor guy.
Johnson from Wisconsin asks, thanks for the entertaining content from the past season.
Can you imagine if Charlie Walters was there? Shooter!
I was letting you deliver the punchline, yes. Does Suter's comment post-game serve as a signal to Leopold that he's okay with Fenton firing Bruce, or would that most likely
No, I didn't take it like that.
face?
I think he was talking about the context of the question was players.
Okay. From NH, will the Wild ever have a solid backup goaltender again?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, did you see what Stalock was playing behind the other night? And the Wild, he almost stole that game from them. Look, he's signed for 3 more years. Gives him time to develop Kokkonen and Robson.
From Jay Ewan, will Paul Fenton be renewing Russo's contract this offseason? Will the Athletic be looking for a new beat writer? I hope that's satirical because that's not the way it works. From Michael H. Babcock, I'd love to hear Russo make an argument for why they wouldn't buy Rask out or trade him if it's possible.
Because the same thing, why any GM that makes a huge decision, I'm trying to think, there was the reason why I'm kind of slow with my answers, I was thinking of an analogy with Chuck Fletcher the other day, and it did dawn on me that, I think people need to understand that when a GM makes a decision, that it's hard for them to cut the cord immediately and admit a mistake. And this is one of those cases. And I think that they'll look at Rask and just say, all right, we acquired him midseason. He got hurt almost immediately. He never really fit in. Let's give him another year, a full training camp to get acclimated to his new team. And then if it doesn't work next year, you make the deal. You make the move. This is somebody that is a former 20-goal guy. I have a lot of trouble believing that's going to happen again the way that he skates. But if he goes into his exit meeting and expresses to Paul that, look, I'm changing the way that I train this summer. Maybe I'm committed enough to spend some time here in Minnesota this summer. I think that then you give him another try. The other thing, as I just said, is that, all right, you have plenty of cap space. Why do you need to buy him out? Last year when they bought out Ennis, a lot of it was that he wasn't fitting in, but a lot of it is that they needed the cap space. This summer, if you get rid of Rask, who are you getting? I just mentioned the free agents. There's just not a lot of intrigue out there. So unless you know that 100% that you're using that money in a wiser way, I think you probably just give him one more year. But I can tell you that all indications that I have is that Carolina was buying him out this summer, which makes the move even more of an alarming thing.
Hoaglund, Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent. He works out of Champlin, but you can work with him wherever you are, as Michael Russo and I both do.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
From MG Mancini, any update on if or when Michael Modano is coming to the Wild?
Well, I think he's already enrolled his kids here, so he's moving. Okay. The question is, what is his role going to be? My guess is it's going to be some sort of ambassador-type role with being also a Paul with the ability to use him as a sounding board. That'd be kind of my guess. I don't think it would ever be as a president of hockey ops or something like that.
From Josh, do 9, 24, and 11 being healthy for a full season make a difference in consistency and get the Wild to the playoffs? And if not, what do you do to try to get there other than a right shot right winger?
Well, I do think that if they had those guys healthy down the stretch, they're shoo-in to make the playoffs even without Niederreiter, Coyle, and Granlund. I don't know. I mean, I think that in that case, overall, you have those guys and you're a better team than Dallas. St. Louis absolutely got on fire, and Colorado, all the power to them. They're playing unbelievable hockey right now. I absolutely picked them to upset Calgary in the first round of the playoffs. So I don't know if the Wild would have outlasted them, but I do think that the Wild would have figured out a way to be in the top 8, no doubt. What was the other part of the question, or was there another?
No, that's good enough. From Cobra Brick, what Wild players expected to be on the trade block this summer?
I mean, Zucker. I think that's guarantee.
From MJ, will the next live podcast event coincide with your mother's visit? We're trying to make that happen, but we got, one thing I've learned about running a business, you don't have a deal till you have a deal.
We can always have, just people over to the house here.
We could do that. From Vincent Tremblay.
You have to all bring housewarming presents, though.
I knew there's a
Starbucks
catch.
gift cards.
I knew there was a catch. From Vincent Tremblay, we know Kaprizov wants to honor his KHL contract, but if he wanted to, could he come over next season?
I mean, again, we just talked about that.
Yeah. From Ben, what is a reasonable jump we should be?
If Kaprizov wants to one day return to Russia without winding up in Siberia, he probably needs to honor the contract.
Right. From Ben, what is a reasonable jump we should be expecting from the 22 and under group in terms of production and roles?
I don't know. I mean, it depends on ice time and responsibility. But I don't just think all of a sudden Greenway and Cunnin are just going to start lights out being 25 goal scorers. I just don't. I mean, they got a ton of ice time and roll down the stretch, and they weren't scoring on a consistent basis. And look, I mean, I got to tell you, as good as Donato was, the way he was in the last 5-10 games when those games got hard, very alarming. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just is. It just is. Fiala was a -23 this year.
Mm.
Oh my God.
Wow.
He might be a
That's
game
shocking.
breaker, but it's the other end.
MJ, our friend Mary, asks, what are the best attributes of Jim and Brandon that make the podcast just dream work? We're not going to answer that. From Bill, do you see Fenton? I appreciate
If it wasn't for Brandon, I'd be long gone.
Exactly. Me too. Do you see?
Actually, there's a lot of truth.
There's a lot of truth. Absolutely. From Bill, do you see Fenton trading any of the young forwards this offseason in like Greenway or Eck?
I doubt it. I just can't see it. I mean, especially when you're selling the young kids, as Erickson Eck would be the only one, but especially when you're selling all these young kids, I think he looks as Cunnin and Greenway as having really bright futures right now. So
you don't want to cook, you don't want to do dishes, you may not want to wait in line or drive or find parking to go out to eat. Order Bite Squad, bitesquad.com. Do it on the Bite Squad app. It makes paying very simple. They deliver quickly. The food looks great when it gets there. bitesquad.com. Use the promo code TALKNORTH for your first delivery fee free. I always struggle with that. But after that, just continue to use Bite Squad because they support the network. We are able to do what we do because of our sponsors. So thanks to bitesquad.com. From Carlos Ledesma, does this weekend's Brown arrest make his release a fait accompli?
I don't know. That's something to definitely ask tomorrow. Trying to say this without being a little, I don't even know what I'm trying
Just
to
say what you say. Say, I shouldn't say this, but, and then say something.
I'll just say this. I don't think there were a lot of players on the team that were very professional the night before. Brown just probably should have gone back to the hotel 3 hours earlier with the rest of the guys. I'll just say, I mean, it's the last game of the season. He wasn't the only one out. Release, they would have to buy him out, or I don't know what the rules are if you could hold it against him and essentially breach him of contract or things like that. I mean, it's a question we'll have to ask Paul tomorrow. There's no doubt about it. But the locker room just needs to be better. There were a couple players after the game the other night that were almost laughing and talking about how hard these last two games are to play when there's nothing to play for. And
except your
I don't buy
careers,
it.
your jobs, your careers.
I don't buy it. You still have to be professional. I know I watched the Chicago Blackhawks the last week and a half of the season when they had nothing to play for, and they were working their freaking ass off. I was watching Kane. Taves scored that gigantic goal, and he went nuts on the ice during the, and did the flyby and everything. And Kane was working his butt off and things like that. That's what leaders do. Okay, they play because people paid $150 to watch you play. They don't just show up and go through the motions the way the Wild did in their freaking home finale. And the guys on this team need to look in the mirror. And that's another reason why I think that Bruce should get another year. So all these players don't have excuses because this locker room needs sometimes to be freaking held responsible. And so I just didn't like the way they played the last two games, not showing up for your goaltender. Plus,
there are scouts in the stands. There are general managers watching these games.
It's so absolutely unconscionable the way they play that home finale, let alone the freaking regular season finale.
And here's the other aspect. Because they're professionals, we talk about, okay, they're getting paid, people are paying money. You can go to any basketball court or homemade rink in America and see people competing. Mm-hmm. For no money, for no reason other than that's what you do when you go out onto a playing surface. You compete. It's disgusting when people don't.
Yeah.
From Brian Judd, he asked kind of a question about the edge. I think you answered it. From another one from Brian, St. Louis and Dallas seemed to really respond after they were called out publicly. If you were the GM or team president, who or whom would you have called out this season to motivate the team?
I don't know. I mean, I think they were. This isn't about so much that people needed to be called out. I mean, they just aren't good enough. I mean, to expect that they were, especially after the moves. But remember, when the moves were done, they were in a playoff spot. They're just not good enough. I mean, just look at them. It was like, one line that I have in my story tomorrow is that it was like they were going into a gunfight every night with a slingshot. I mean, just look at them. Look at the guys they were throwing out on the ice, and they're not that these guys aren't going to be good players one day, but they're not at this point able to play in these roles. That's what the minors are for, and so being called. I mean, I guess at midseason when they were up and down, I can tell you. I mean, the joke in December when Jim Lights said all the stuff he said about those Dallas Stars. I jokingly sent texts to guys like Leopold and Make. I'm like, hey, any availability for an interview today? So, yeah, I mean, back then maybe they needed a little bit of a wake-up call, but this is a different room. That's all I could say. I mean, it's just a different room.
From Gage Longerud, I hope I got that right. Assuming the Wild gets the 11th pick, who do you see them taking at that spot?
I don't know. Tony Abbott or one of our analytics, one of our contributors is going to be looking into that. Tomorrow night, I'm taking part in an athletic mock draft. So I don't have names for you yet. I mean, I'll go really study into that tomorrow. But I mean, any scoring forward is what this team needs right now. It just is. There are intriguing names there. I've looked at a bunch of them. So hopefully they got to hit some homers on their first round pick. We've talked about Philip Johansson last week. Obviously a long shot right now. And regardless, not an offensive defenseman, so he's not somebody that's going to ever really probably intrigue, or be an impact type guy. So we'll see.
Let's do a few more Twitter questions. We're not going to get to all of them. We never do, but we're going to have an off season in which to get to all kinds of topics, and we do appreciate the questions.
I will say there's one kid, Caulfield, I believe, that's intriguing, but his height is, just from afar, not, his height's a little concerning. He's like 5'7", 5'8". So, but he is dynamic. I watched some video of him yesterday. I mean, he's got one of the great shots. I mean, that shot just explodes off his stick.
Is his first name Holden?
Cale or Cole or something.
If his first name was Holden, I would say he was going to have a bad attitude. It's a literary reference. From Ben, first of all, let me thank our sponsors again. Twill and the Edina Galleria, Fixologyrepair.com, Tony Hoaglund, Hoaglund. He works out of Champlin, your State Farm agent, and Bite Squad, first promo code for first delivery fee waived. Talk North, all caps, one word, but use them anyway, even if you've already used that. From Ben, assuming that next year ends up being Koivu's last, is the next captain of the Wild on this team. It seems like Parise or Suter is the favorite, but I think that would be a poor direction to go in.
I'm sorry, say it again. I got a text.
If Koivu's out after next year, is the next captain of this team on the roster, and would it be Parise or Suter? Ben doesn't sound like he would like it to be Parise or Suter.
I mean that's so far in the distance. I don't know. A lot of it's going to depend on if the coach picks it, if the guys in the room picks it, if Paul Fenton feels that he's got to pick it. If it's Paul Fenton picking it, it's probably Suter.
What's the custom? What happens most places?
I mean, it's different everywhere. I mean, it's usually kind of a GM and the coach really coming together. I mean, if it's guys on the roster that are up and comers, I mean, there are some interesting guys. I mean, I think Luke Cannon's got captain potential. I obviously think Spurgeon does. I will tell you, Donato just impresses the heck out of me. His whole attitude, everything. I mean, just even like I show up in Dallas and I show up at the rink and first person I run into is him. He came in a Uber to get there. He couldn't figure out the way in the rink, and just the way he treats people as I was showing him into the building. He's just the guy is brought up the right way. So, a lot of it, we have to see the way these guys, develop the next couple of years. I mean, Cunnin, to me, has got incredible leadership ability. As I mentioned, Donato, Spurge, those guys.
From Matt Rostalon, I hope I'm getting it right. Which first-round playoff series are you most interested to watch?
Well, I mean, they're all interesting to me. I really am looking forward to Vegas, San Jose. I think the Vegas has the chance to upset them because Martin Jones. I mean, I think he has an .896 save percentage this year. I think Colorado, Calgary is going to be great. Winnipeg, I don't like the way that they're playing down the stretch. I think St. Louis is going to win that series. And Nashville, I think, was extremely beatable. I don't see how Dallas gets it done. So I think Nashville goes to the second round. In the East, Carolina, Washington is going to be interesting, but I just don't see how Carolina's got the tools to get this done so early in this kind of retooled team. I think they're going to go in and see what Washington is really made of. Who are the others? I mean, Boston, Toronto is going to be pretty awesome. Tampa, I just see them winning. I mean, man, they're just so good right now. So I see them beating the Islanders, and Pittsburgh's playing. Who? Why is my head...
Islanders are playing the Penguins.
Oh, Islanders are playing the Penguins, and Tampa's playing who?
Tampa's playing the Columbus.
Oh, yeah. Duh. Oh, my God, my head. It's been a long couple weeks.
Yeah.
Still getting over Vegas. I don't see how Columbus gets it done, although Panarin's going to be motivated. Bob's playing great right now. Josh Anderson and Bjorkstrand have been amazing down the stretch. But I don't see how Tampa's beat. And then Penguins-Islanders will be a great series. I see Penguins winning that one, though.
Vaughn, Steve, Kyler, Nathan, Minnesota Johan, Chris, Maddie, all please, you all had good questions, and some of them are on topics we really want to dive deeply into, so please resend those questions next week or sometime during the summer, or come out and see us and ask us live once we start doing shows. Thanks to all of our sponsors, all of our listeners. Does Michael have a final thought or a final sigh?
No, just the next little bit, we'll start hearing some guys losing their job with the Wild, I would assume. And all, I'm sure, salt of the earth type people, and people that have been with this organization a long time. So, hey, it's a
fallout of Fenton taking over.
Yeah, it's it's part of it. I mean, he's building his own staff, and so, obviously, you feel for those type of guys. I think that there's a lot of people in a state of flux right now and walking on eggshells, hoping they're returning. But my guess is in the next little bit, we'll start hearing some names here, and hopefully I'll be reporting on that in the next day or so.
Pretty little city built on a hillside, music in the bars and fire in the sky. We went to the beach and it was covered in ice, and I used to call it home. So much coming out, there's nothing going in. I know that you feel like you're never gonna win. Oh, but the world won't forgive a winner.
Buckle up, because Metro is bringing you the best deal in wireless. Switch to Metro and get your choice of 2 awesome free phones from top brands like Samsung and LG, with huge HD screens and tons of memory for all your pics and videos. So hurry into Metro and get your awesome free phones only at Metro. Plus sales tax and activation fee. Requires port in of eligible number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. Limit 4 per account or household. Restrictions apply. See store for details and terms and conditions.
From the kids to Aunt Sue, keep your whole family connected on all their devices with crowd-pleasing gig-speed internet from Xfinity. Now that's simple, easy, awesome. Learn more about gig-speed internet or other popular plans, now with even more speed. Enjoy faster downloads and a better streaming experience today. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store for a great offer. Restrictions apply. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed.